A package in the mail, MSX games from Japan. Collecting without fail, those shoot 'em ups, and that's the plan. He doesn't just collect them, he also codes them too. Join us and we'll go on electric adventures with you.
Hey YouTubers, Electric Adventures here, and welcome to my room tour, July 2017. So this is how you walk into the room. Shut the door behind me because it's actually quite cold outside. We'll start just here. This area is completely new. This is where my wife's sewing was, and is now my electronics works area. There are a couple of spoilers on the bench for stuff I'll be showing later in the month. I'll do a bit of a pan around so you can get an idea of the room. So it's a double garage, 9 metres by 6 metres. That's a work area where I actually used to work from home. I don't do that anymore, so it's just a video editing area. And around to my retro computers there. And more shelves up there. So we'll go around in a little bit more detail. So this first section of shelves is mainly on the right hand side here is my MSX collection. I have over 300 MSX1 games and quite a few MSX2 games as well. Going up here I have my Atari 2600 collection. With a couple of display items really high up there as well. Also got I do have some Atari 5200 titles there. Behind that copy of Pier Solar there. Couple of LCI games there, and then we have my Famicom collection. A bit closer so you can see. I quite like my Famicom titles. Been collecting them for a while. I recently just rearranged things and cleared up that shelf down there. I'll just go across and give you a little bit closer look at some of the other MSX titles before we move on. I've sort of got them organised a little bit in sections. There's all Casio ones, we've got ASCII ones there, some more ASCII ones there. Not really totally organised, I suppose. A lot of homebrew MSX titles there. My Sony games, Activision games over there. My lovely Konami shelf with a little bit of Namcot there at the front. And Konami moves on to a second shelf. Plus this also contains my shooters as well. You have your Laydock ones on the left. There's Metal Gear 2, Fantasy Zone as well. And on the right hand side we have a couple of my more expensive MSX titles. We've got the 2 Less games and Zanuck EX. And sitting next to that Space Mambo. I've got all of the Gradius games. I've got the 3rd Nightmare game. I don't have the second one. Down here we have another little section. You can see I've got my B cards there. There's a couple more homebrews hiding bottom left. These drawers are actually full of cartridges. And down here is mostly RPGs. In the drawers we actually have quite a few very nice titles. So more of the Activision cartridge games. Actually Sega game. Got a few more Konami ones that I don't have boxes for. And same with Casio ones that I don't have boxes for, and some more Namcot ones. There's even a couple more Sony ones. Sony actually produced quite a few titles on the MSX. There's a B card reader. And some more B cards. So, Star Soldier, Bomberman, Wonder Boy, Huyan. And of course these three titles here are my own that I brought out back in the day. And as I said, I've got a lot of MSX titles that have actually flowed over. This little one here I've got on the end of the electronics bench. R-Type, that's actually quite a good version. Xevious, really good version. Darwin 4078, not to everyone's taste, but really pleased to have a full copy of that. And Rastan Saga is a fairly recent one as well, that's quite a good version. Couple of those cheap VR box add-on headsets that you can use with your smartphone. Basically, I bought one on special for about $17 from one place, and then I got another one free when I bought something else from a computer supplier. Okay, shortcut there. I actually got a Skype call. These are my Famicom titles. Really like this one. One of the best games on the Famicom. Don't have a box for it. Gunneck's pretty good as well. I think we missed... Where did I put that anyway? It's there somewhere. Got quite a variety of Famicom titles. A lot of good games for it. I mean, if you like the NES, obviously you like Famicom. Just been collecting the Nancot things. Some of these actually don't have the games in them because I bought a lot that was missing cartridges, unfortunately. But most of the, I mean, it's only a couple that are missing, but I like the boxes, so I've been collecting those. So now, come out for an overview. Now this is my Coleco and Super Famicom, and down the bottom we have my NES collection. So let's start with the Coleco. So these are my original release Coleco games. I've done a couple of box upgrades recently. Always a big fan of the Parker Brothers games, so the ones that I actually owned back in the day. Threw my boxes away, so I've been slowly getting them back. Do need a proper box for Gyrus. Activision games. Missing Hero. Don't have a proper case for War Games. Of course, we have my own game. There, so we start getting into the homebrews, of course. There's Gamesters 81 video game. He sent me a box, so I bought one of the special loose cartridges, but he sent me that box. Okay, now these are the Colecovision titles. I'll go back over here. I'm sorry about the motion blur. You can see I've got quite a few of those. Jeepers Creepers, got that recently. It's a re-release. Pac-Man collection. I actually bought that off Crow over in the US. Very happy to get that. Road Fighter, one of Opcode's originals. Then you have these 3 budget releases. Now I have Gradius and Penguin Adventure. I haven't done a video on these because Penguin Adventure doesn't work. And it hasn't been fixed, so yeah. Now Night and More, did a video on that recently. Really great homebrew game, Ghosts and Goblins. You have the special, now we go into Team Pixel Boy games. So you've got the special double box set here of the Super Game versions of Donkey Kong Jr. So they've got all 4 levels that came out for the Atom that have been put on cartridge. And then you have the Team Pixel Boy titles. A lot of them are SG-1000 conversions. But there are some MSX conversions in there, and of course some original games as well. Not as many original games, but there's one there. Going along, another original one there, Mecha 8 and Mecha 9. Some of my favourites. Oscar does such good work. Module Man, another original one there. Not an original, but a really good game. Ninja Princess. There's a Konami one. Princess Quest. So it's been some very good homebrew games, and I've supported them because I make homebrew myself. So, and then we have the fantastic budget series by Team Pixelboy recently. They are really well presented and were a great surprise at how good the games are. They're the manuals for these loose ones in here. The boxes are coming along. Luke from Team Pixelboy can only produce 2 of these boxes a month, so he just wanted to get them shipped out. He's going to ship the boxes later. Now these are my loose Coleco cartridges. This is actually has to go back to Team Pixelboy. Unfortunately, when they first sent out Nightmare, it had a bug in it. Special edition Frontline that uses the normal controller. So I've still got James Bond to get a box for as well for the Parker Brothers to make that a complete set. And by Atari Soft, I've got Defender, and I think that one there is, yeah, Centipede. Now, Super Famicom. Now we start with the shooters. Ariada Darius Twin, Galaxy Wars, Gradius 3, Poppin' Twin Bee, Shooting Collection, Space Invaders, R-Type, Super Aleste. Absolutely love that game. Box is all faded, but it's alright. Thunder Spirits. This copy was sent to me by Soft Otaku. Very much appreciated. And of course we have Uchimakara, which is the I mean it's not a straight conversion of the arcade game, it's sort of like the next game in the series. It's really good, really hard of course, as they all are. We have Final Fight, because I do actually like my brawlers rather than fighting games, and Final Fight 2. I've got Rockman X2. Not necessarily my cup of tea, but they're pretty cheap to get. So I've got Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Metroid. It's light because it's over there in the machine. I'm playing that one at the moment. And Super Valis. I've got a few loose titles there as well. And there's got US titles hiding there. I'll go down the next shelf, so I'm not going to pull all these out, but we've got quite a few good games there. You know, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World, Star Fox. Now we've got a bit of an RPG section. I feel like collecting RPGs. And there's Chrono Trigger and a couple of Final Fantasies there. They're all cheap to get. The 3 Donkey Kong Country games. A Super Famicom Super Game Boy. There is a version 2 that I don't have. My copy of Super Turrican. Don't have a box for it, but I put it in a special case and printed a cover. Very expensive game to get. So, okay, now for going to the NES, we have my NES games. Well, it's Media Swarm, and then the championship cart that I did for Game Stadium One's Game On Expo. So we have a normal cart and a gold cart. And then we have my NES carts. So I started collecting the NES before I started the Super Famicom. So I do like quite a few of these games. There's quite a few shooters and things like that there. But I haven't really bought any new ones since I started collecting for the Super Famicom. It's just the Super Famicom, normal Famicom, because the games are easier for me to get. And I do have some box games. Actually look nicer on this shelf now that they're all laid out together. Then of course my EverDrive, which is absolutely essential for my development on the NES. You have to test on real hardware. And the one in the plastic case there is Zanuck, which I really like. And there's some, I mean, I've got quite a few shooters, but also even Donkey Kong Classics there. That's a really good version of Donkey Kong and Donkey Kong Jr. So some of the games I like playing. Right, so next we have my mostly Sega section. So we've got Sega Master System on the right and Sega Mega Drive on the left. But tucked in the middle we have some TRS-80, PlayStation 1 Australian or PAL, DS, and I've got two 32X titles in there as well. So we'll go through and there's a bit more detail. My Sega Master System set, it's a world set. Where you see gaps are the ones that I'm missing. I think I have exactly 30 games to go, and that does include the Tech Toy releases, which I have none. They're very expensive. I'm not sure I'll ever be able to get them. Do actually have a couple of Japanese Master System titles there as well. And there's obviously odd assortment items sitting on the shelves. Some really excellent titles for the Sega Master System. One of my favourite systems. And you know, I timed it fairly well to go for a full collection when I did, but I stopped after a while because it got too expensive. There are titles I need that aren't that expensive. They're actually the ones that I need that I don't have that aren't expensive are actually US ones. So a few US exclusives. And there's a couple of special ones like the Australian HES pack there and this double pack. While we're down here, we might as well have a quick look at the DS section. Obviously a lot of games are my daughter's games growing up throughout the years, but a few of those games are also mine. So here we have you know, Konami Classics and things like that there. Now coming up here we have my PAL PS1 collection. I have none of my original stuff left from back in the day. It was all stolen. So these basically have replaced the ones that I had stolen and plus added a few more ons, but then obviously I switched to Japanese PlayStation 1, so I've stopped collecting Australian ones. Bit of a TRS-80 section hiding in here. It'll probably move to another spot when I've cleaned up other parts of the game room, because I like to keep all the computer stuff together. Then we have my actual Mega Drive shooter collection. I have a fair few of them. Obviously about 50-50 between PAL and Japanese, and I do have a double up of Truxton there. Okay, and then we've got our normal titles, and by I say normal, there are quite a few games here that I definitely enjoy playing. Do like my Mega Drive, it's a system I've had from back in the day. Down here, let's move this guitar out of the way. Get down here, do a few sports games. Things. Right, couple of cobwebs in that corner. Then going up the top we have a bit of a box area. They're actually double stacked, but there are some things of mention up there in the boxes, really hidden. Sorry, but there is actually a Spectre Video 318 in the box, one of the original ones, the ones that actually had the red joystick, and we have my Atari 400 hiding there. The 3D glasses, most of the rest of the boxes are empty though. Now up here we have what amounts of my original Xbox collection. That's it folks, I'm afraid. I never really got into the system back in the day. I actually bought the system with both of those Halo games to play Halo. and I haven't really played many of the other games, sad to say. Then we have Japanese GameCube. Don't really have a lot of those, and I haven't really been actively collecting. I've just got a few games that I like, and a couple others that come along for the ride. Now this is a little bit of a Wii section. I have more Wii games inside my house, so I'll probably include photos of stuff inside my house rather than video. Now my Atari 7800 collection. I really like my Atari 7800. I do have a PAL one though, so of course I can't get all the games. Unfortunately I can't get Robotron, because that won't work on a PAL system. I did recently get a number of really nice homebrew games, but I have most of the decent games, not actually missing that many games. And over here we have my PAL GameCube collection, most of which, probably about 50% of these titles, I've had since I had from back in the day, and I've just added a few good key titles since, like actually Metroid and Super Mario Sunshine. I never had back in the day, would have loved it, and Ikaruga there. Excellent, excellent game. Alright, traversing, we have this little area here. It's a cabinet with bits and pieces stored in it. I'm not going to, probably a bit of a mess. We have magazines. There's actually some more MSX things here. These are the Yamaha music modules that add onto the Yamaha MSX, which we'll get round to later. Bit of VIC-20 stuff. This is all for stuff that's too tall to fit on other shelves. The Art of Final Fantasy, wonderful, wonderful collection. A few other books there, a few other DS games hiding up there. And this is my Game Boy collection here. I do have some in box as well, but this is primarily the collection. I'll finish up the shelf and then we'll have a closer look at that. So over here, so we have a retro computer here. This is a TRS-80 Model 3. Somebody was going to throw it out, so they gave it to me. It did work when I got it, but unfortunately some caps have gone, so the screen doesn't work anymore, so I haven't had a chance to repair it. We have the Family Basic Computer add-on for the Famicom. We have my SC-3000 and SC-3000H computers, and my TRS-80 99/4A. The robot arm for the original Spectre video, and the earlier model data cassette and the later model data cassette for the Spectre video. So this is a bit of a jumble mess, this corner. We've got a Atari Junior. We have a 6-switch Woody, Australian Woody though, and a Darth, which is they're actually quite more common in Australia, they are. A few more boxes and things up there, and a bit of a corner of books and CDs and various bits and pieces, and magazines in there. In there are the magazines that I published for the MSX as well. Alright, we might pause for a second before going on the shelf and have a look at the Game Boy games. Right, so my Game Boy games, I mainly collect them loose, and they're in this folder. So obviously I like my shooters, so we've got 2 R-Types, 2 Greatest Games, Twin B, Contra, I can't remember the name of that game, but that's Zarth. We've got Empire Strikes Back, that's actually one of my games from back in the day. We have Castlevania. I have 5 Rockman games. They're quite good, if a bit hard. We've got Donkey Kong Land, Tetris, there's a Final Fantasy game, soccer game, Super Mario Land, Mario and Yoshi. I think that's one from back in the day, or is it that one? It's one of those two. It's one of my other titles from back in the day. And a couple more there. So not a huge collection by any means, but I actually quite like the Game Boy. I do play those a lot using the Super Game Boy as well. Alright, let's go back to the shelves. So next we have this shelving section, which is up against the garage doors. You can see there's a bit of there and there's a bit of stuff in front of it. So I am gradually cleaning up. So anything below, there's not much retro gaming stuff below, it's mainly books and things like that. So my, just for the moment, my Nintendo 64 Japanese collection has moved over here. I need to reconfigure the shelves so they're not vertically stacked. I don't like them sitting on top of each other like that. But I just need to move the shelves in a chance. Now over here we have my, being obscured by Star Wars cups, is my PAL Saturn collection. I have a few titles there, and my PAL Super Nintendo games. Right, so our next section is my SG-1000 SC-3000 collection. I have an almost complete set now. And most of them are complete, so I've only got those loose cartridges, and there's a couple of cards in the card folder. There's only 2, and the rest of them are all complete now. There's some great games for the system. It's very like the MSX, but it's also, some of the titles are a little bit different. And the ones with the red spines are actually Australian ones. And those blue ones in the top right are 2 educational games. They're not on any of the collection lists. Right, drawing out. So this area here is actually where I play games in the room. So you can see I have this little coffee table here. It's got a PC built into it and a screen. This is where I record my videos and capture my gameplays using a PC. That's an old server of mine. Probably does need a faster video card. Sitting there I have my MSX 2 Plus machine with my Coleco sitting on it and the PC Engine Duo R. There's the things I've been playing lately. The MSX does sit out on that table. It does have a nice keyboard cover to keep the dust off, so I'm happy to keep it out there. Everything is wired in so that you can move this coffee table closer to the TV so my girls can dance in this room. A few controllers hanging off. You can see I've been playing a couple of things. That's a Japanese Nintendo 64 there. Down the bottom here we have Panasonic 3DO, the FZ10. That's my PAL Nintendo 64. We have my GameCubes. The silver one is a Japanese one, the black one is a PAL one. Both of them have the Game Boy players. Then we have my SG-1000 Model 2, which is what I play most of my SG-1000 games on. We have my Super Famicom. I do have a SNES as well, PAL one, but that's up on the shelf because I mainly use the Super Famicom to play most of my games now. I have a cheap China EverDrive cartridge. And then we have my PAL Mega Drive. It's not my original one, but after I sold my original one, at the same time I sold my Jaguar, going to markets to try and get money and everything like that, I sold most of the stuff to get us out of financial difficulty, and then I found this one at the markets. So it goes back a long way. Obviously for my Japanese titles I use an EverDrive to play it. It can be a little finicky to set up sometimes, so I wouldn't mind an actual Japanese Mega Drive at some stage. And coming up here, we have my arcade, the box for my Colecovision Super Game module that allows you to play the extended titles that need more RAM. My original Xbox 360, which was given to me, and my original Xbox. Next we have my Neo Geo CD titles. I really do like the Neo Geo CD. I play the system a lot. We'll progress along and then come back. And we have my Japanese PlayStation games. There are a couple more in large cases which we'll get to in a second. And then we get some PC Engine, of which I have quite a few titles. Including CD-ROM and Super CD titles. These are just the games that don't fit in the normal holders, so a variety of systems. There are 3 mini shock boxes that fit the MVS carts. I have the 160 and 1 King of Fighters 96 and Metal Slug 2. Okay, these are my PC Engine shooters. Card shooters, and then we have a couple of PlayStation 2 games in larger cases. Of course, we've got Castlevania there, Ridge Racer Type 4, Rebel Assault 2, is it Dragonfire? I can't remember. My brain's going at the moment. Final Fantasy Collection. I have my controllers for the Coleco there, roller controller, driving controller. My Atari expansion and a Coleco Gemini, which is the Coleco's clone of the Atari 2600. And then we have my Sega Saturn collection. Obviously Japanese spines, so only those in the know will be able to figure out which games are which, but I'm quite happy with my Sega Saturn collection. There's some really good, so that's mostly shoot 'em ups, those first couple of sections. And then we go into some of the other games there. I said I hope these titles come out in the light okay. And as you can see, I really don't have many Dreamcast titles. Okay, zoom out a little bit. So on the other side we have my Japanese Sega Dreamcast, which I mainly got for homebrews, and one of my favourite games that I play all the time is Stormwind. But I got this Sega Rally Championship recently as well. Then below that we have my Neo Geo CD. Really do play that a lot. Great system. And then we have the Atari Jaguar. Very, very pleased that I finally got one back. I would like to make an arcade controller or something for it though, because as most people say, the controller's not that fantastic and it hurts my hands. My Japanese Sega Saturn with its arcade controller stuffed in there upside down. And then I have my Japanese, I think, PlayStation 1 there, and a slim PlayStation 2. We have nothing on the bottom shelf. Actually sitting next to it, a bit of a mess. We have some Commodore 64 data recorders. Now this shelf is mainly magazines down the bottom, pardon me, and my science fiction role-playing games, quite a few books, and more of our Star Trek starships. Okay, swinging around to the computer section, I've got a few loose items here. They're unfortunately a bit obscured by stuff that I haven't played yet and done videos of. There's a few things there. And it's a bit of an overflow section of computers that haven't decided where they're going to go. Now coming around to my desk workstation area, there are actually quite a few systems in here. There's my Commodore 64 C with the 1541 Ultimate. In there we have my Spectrum 1 plus 2, Pioneer MSX1, and which I keep that one out and plugged in just in case stuff doesn't run on an MSX2 machine. I have my workhorse MSX, which is my MS8250 MSX, and that's the keyboard down there. And I have a nice Amiga, show you the model number, 1081 monitor, which has a SCART input. Let's go past the PC stuff. This is an Atari 800 800XE, which is identical to an Atari 65XE. It's just got a different number on it and different colour and branding. And there's a tape drive there and some cartridges there that I've been doing gameplays of. Spoiler for video out soon. And that normally slips in under there. So these are on trays, these machines. They slip out nicely and they're all plugged in. There's my Amiga 1200. Now, the retro computer area is a bit of a tight squeeze. In the corner here we have a Hitachi MSX luggable. My video pack G-1000. In here we have the Yamaha MSX machine with its keyboard behind, and there's the keyboard for the Pioneer PX7. So coming down here, moving this mic, we have what you can basically say is my Atari 8-bit collection. So that's an XEGS with a separate keyboard. That's a 130XE. I probably should be using that instead of the 800XE because it's got more RAM. That's another graphics tablet add-on for an MSX machine. Oh no, that's a titler. That's nothing to do with an MSX. It's just made by Sony. It's a video titler. So you can actually title over videos. We have my breadbox Commodore 64. It's in the corner there. It needs a bit of a dust, I think. A game that I got only recently, a system I got only recently, is my Atari 800. And my 800 XL. And there are like a tape drive and a disc drive behind there. Down here we have, hiding right in there, we have a Micro B. There really is a lot of dust in this corner. I apologise. This is also a recent addition. So a ZX Spectrum Plus. So it's a Spectrum 48K with the extended keyboard, and it has a micro SD interface. That's been very useful lately. A System 80 from Dick Smith, inbuilt tape recorder. Similar hardware to the TRS-80. That's my Neo Geo X in there, and hiding in the corner there is my Einstein 256. Coming down here I have a Silicon Graphics O2 workstation that works. Besides my server PC I have an Amiga 2000 as well. Okay, back on the other side of the computers we have my Super Extender for my original Spectre video, a working Vectrex, the second of my BBC Micros, my Apple IIe P Platinum Edition, the last model of the Apple II produced, really nice condition, an Atari ST-E, and this is another MSX 2 Plus machine, and the hard drive expansion. These are my two Amstrad machines. So I've got the one with the disk drive and one with the tape drive, they both work. Over here we have my original Amiga 1000 and my Amiga 500 sitting on top. Coming down here we have the second model of the 318, Spectre Video 318, so that's the pre-MSX machine. Auric Atmos, Auric 1, ZX80, TRS-80 Color, Spectre Video 328, so that's got 64K of RAM, that's non-MSX. And then the system I've developed most of my games on, which is my Spectre Video 738. So another slight break there. I just turned off my Shinobi machine because the sound suddenly started working again. I've got to fix the amplifier and it was way too loud. Alright, we have my Mattel Aquarius. A bit of a quirky little machine, that one. This is my original... Oh no, this is actually my second BBC Micro. The one on top was my original one. I do have some drives. That's a BBC Micro Master Compact system, and an Acorn Electron, and Acorn Archimedes. Down here we have two more super expanders for the original Spectre Video and more drives. I do not have one working combination, unfortunately. The expanders all work and most of the cards work, I just can't get the disk drives to work. Tape drives, they work. Those floppies I believe are BBC ones. We have pretty much the last model of the Acorn Archimedes release, which is the A-7000, and that's the other half of the Master Compact system. Another BBC drive and my Commodore 1541 drive, and I actually have a spare motherboard for a Archimedes there as well. So last part of the room is the shelving unit up above the desk. It has my collection of retro gamer magazines. As you can see, I've been going for quite a few years, and I've managed to get a few of the earlier ones. Somebody traded some into a comic store down here and I've picked up a few of those. The magazines that go along with all of those Star Trek ships, I'm probably going to move that to somewhere else. It's getting a bit squishy in there. Then we have lots of books, so books for the MSX, book for the Atari ST, books for the Amiga, and some titles of the Amiga. I love this Amiga Dungeons and Dragons collection. Some great stuff in there. Whole lot of programming, more programming books, because as I said, I used to program for the Atari ST and the Amiga. I've just never released anything for them, that's all. Over here we have my Amiga box game collection. Not huge. All pictures of my kids there. My Atari ST games are there. Don't have a lot of Atari ST games in original form, but I do have my productivity software for the ST there. So I used to use it as my PC. So I've got Microsoft Word, desktop publishing software, and of course assemblers and editors for doing both C and machine code. And up there I have my Vectrex games. I have most of the Vectrex titles. I just don't necessarily have them all complete. I have most of the overlays though. Then we have my original Spectre Video games. I'm actually lucky to have quite a few boxed ones. Then we come into my Commodore 64 titles. I do have more loose tapes for the Commodore 64 in drawers. Then the next section is my Atari 8-bit collection. I actually have quite a few Atari 8-bit games now. Obviously not all complete in box, a lot of loose cartridges, and a few tapes even recently. And going up much higher, it's a bit of a stretch, we have my TI-99 4A titles. I've got quite a few of those. One lone Mattel Aquarius title hanging up there. The extra set of games for the Neo Geo X. The Frogger's VIC-20 game. There's a VIC-20 game there. And actually, while we're on VIC-20, just come down here. I do actually have this stack of VIC-20 games here. So I have quite a few VIC-20 games. So I just haven't had a chance to get the VIC-20 out and give them a good play. And I suppose to wrap up here, we have my joystick collection. A lot of those are Spectre Video ones and a few others. And then up here we have a few assorted toys and Star Wars paraphernalia. Right, so there's a spare system. So there's my original SNES up there, my PAL PlayStation, PAL NES. There's a control pad up there, and well, one computer hiding up there, my ZX81, which is in really good condition. So one last pan before we go. I hope you've enjoyed this room tour. The game room is something that I'm very proud of. I enjoy coming in here, playing games. It's also good that I have discovered some more local friends, collectors who are into the same thing in my fellow podcast members from Press Play on Tape podcast. We've been doing a lot of trading and stuff between us now, and this is good to have a bit of banter and have a few good things over. You can blame some of the arcade machines on those guys. And I'm very happy with the collection of machines I have now. As you can see, look, the Shinobi game has all of a sudden started working. I've got to completely strip that cabinet apart and fix things like the sound, and that sounds way too loud too, but it's just nice to have a bit of arcadey type sound in the game room sometimes. Alright, I better wrap it up now because it's probably getting a bit long and there's going to be an editing nightmare. So, I'm Electric Adventures, thanks to all my subscribers, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.